Good evening, my viewers. I was gonna say my lovelies, but that's not really something I would say. I don't think. Welcome back to another installment of cheap therapy for me. um, if you haven't checked it out already, I've done the affirmation and um, oracle readings for tonight. Oracle cards. I don't really call them readings. Like I said, read the cards to you. So yeah, okay, fine, whatever. Just about to choose a topic for tonight for our discussion, continuing with Mental Health Awareness Month. I know the last topic was quite intense for me to share what I shared. I hope that you were able to get something out of it. Excuse me. So, let's see what we got for tonight. I can't read my writing. Sexuality. Ooh, sexuality. I like boys. End of video. Bye. Okay. Sexuality and how this has shaped my mental health. This one can be a bit of a heavy one as well. So when it comes to sexuality and me, I've always been curious since I was a kid about just sex in general. It was always such a taboo topic growing up, at home, in school, with friends. Everybody always got so shy around this topic. I remember even like sex ed class in school was very glossed over. Growing up, I knew that I wasn't like other boys. And the older I got, maybe around, the earliest memory I have is maybe around 8 years old. I want to say maybe 7. And everybody jokes about the underwear section at the Bay or at Sears or whatever. And I think there were memes about when I was a kid when you stared too long at the underwear box kind of thing. That was literally me. I would see these boxes and be like, ooh, what is that? But I never truly was attracted, I don't think, to that. It was more so that's what the male body is supposed to look like. I remember being in like the locker rooms as a kid and just awkwardly a glance to some naked dude and being like, that kind of made me feel a little weird inside. And I mean, I tie this along with gender norms as well, because as a kid I wanted to play with the stereotypical girl toys or things, not just toys, but I remember wanting to play with Barbie, and I remember wanting to play with makeup and nail polish and wear dresses, wear things that were brightly colored, and always being told no, or just, you're a boy, you're not supposed to play with those. I always wondered why, and I never truly got an answer other than, you're a boy, you don't play with that, that's not for you. And I remember being young and starting to wonder what it would be like to wear a skirt or high heels and how that made somebody feel. So, a few times where I was home alone, I would sneak into my sister's room, and, try on stuff. A lot of the times, I'd be doing that, and the key in the door would set my ass on fire, and of course, either a parent or my sister or somebody was walking home or walking in, and I would panic, and I would a lot of the time shove stuff under my mattress. Um, and just hope that nobody would find it. Um, and I remember when someone would find it, it was met with a lot of rage. And I just remember growing up being so confused as to why was this so wrong? Why was it so wrong? And I hid that part of me as best as I could. I mean, I went through high school being called a fag and gay boy. I was taunted. And I always thought I was coming off so butch, but I guess I wasn't. And again, I just kept remembering, why was this so wrong? When we had people like Boy George in the media, maybe not so much that at that time, but people like Boy George, David Bowie, Prince, who weren't these overtly masculine dudes. They actually took on quite a bit of their feminine side, but they were widely famous for it. And I know out of those three people, Boy George is the only one who was gay, but David Bowie was bisexual, and I'm pretty sure Prince was as well. But I also remember being in high school, and if you liked any of these people, everybody thought they were gay, so you were automatically gay. Unless you liked, in my high school, unless you liked hip hop, then you were a target. And I like some good hip hop, not as much as these other people. But then I remember applying to whatever the hell I could in terms of schools and programs with the grades that I had, which weren't the greatest, just so I could leave home and be free, quote unquote. Experience what I want to experience, how I want to experience it. And with the finding out and coming to terms with it, and knowing that I was gay, coupled with the regular mental health that I had, I say regular, what I already was dealing with inside, that stemmed quite a bit of my suicide ideation as a kid. It stemmed what I seeked as self-harm. I started to use substance to help numb myself. And that's when I started to look for places to go. The last couple of years of high school, I was formulating plans of leaving, just leaving home. Just packing up one night and just going out the front door, never to return. I had it in my head that I was going to be, if my family ever found out, that I was going to be kicked out anyway, so I might as well do it on my terms. And when I went away to school, I tried to find people to hang out with. Only met with a lot of racism within the gay community. Um, I remember going to the only gay bar in Kingston and sitting at the bar by myself and just observing, watching, like I always do, and seeing these groups of people, like just already knowing each other and having that bond, that sense of community. And I wanted that so bad. Only to never truly be accepted with these people. At least I felt. Um, there were a couple older gentlemen that were fairly nice to me without being super sexual or pervy. And I liked that. I thought, that was very nice. I've always gotten along with older people rather than my own age. I've always been attracted to older men rather than my own age. And I was 17 at the time. And when I came home for a visit, I think it was during Christmas, still 17, I met up with this one guy I was talking to. And he invited me back to his place in Toronto. So I went and met him there. And we were hanging out, and next thing I know, I was being pinned to the floor. And him on top of me. And I couldn't push him, I could barely breathe, honestly. He was a big dude. He was tall and husky. And I remember looking at his face and knowing what was about to happen. And I struggled a bit, but couldn't. And if I had said anything, I don't know what he would have done. So I focused on the ceiling and waited for it to finish. It was definitely not consensual. And I remember when he was finished, he went into the washroom, left me there on the floor, went into the washroom, and I got up and out so fast. And just tried to make my way back to the ghost station as fast as I could. I didn't look back. And after that day, I made sure my shoes were always slip-ons, whether they had laces or not. I remember being on the train and telling myself I was never going to think about that night again, ever. And I didn't until a few years ago, when my ex-boyfriend at the time, well, we weren't even together, but he told me about an incident that happened to him, and it brought everything back for me. That was my first sexual experience, gay or straight. And then later on that year, I came out to my family as gay. Only to be asked if I needed to see a therapist because I needed to make sure that that's what it was. And I said, no, I know what I am. And if you don't accept, you don't accept, it's fine. I have a love-hate relationship with the gay community. I feel I haven't always been welcomed by the gay community, in terms of either I'm not gay enough or I'm too gay or you're not white, plain and simple. You're not bottom enough, you're not top enough, you're not anything enough. It was never enough. And I think what was the worst was the racism within the gay community. And it's not talked about quite a bit. But I've experienced it firsthand, both in person and online. Ignorant assholes who think, brown skin must be Indian. Nothing wrong with Indian people, but I don't identify as an Indian person. I can't stand the newer generation. I'm gonna put it out there. I think being gay all of a sudden went from this taboo thing to being like the it thing, to the point where businesses capitalize on it, and the younger generation has no idea what past generations have gone through for them to basically walk out of the womb with a pride flag. I've had women tell me that they wish when they get pregnant, they hope and pray that their kids are going to be gay because it's the thing. I want to go shopping with my gay kid. I was not that kid. I was not the one to go shopping with people or pick out outfits or all that bullshit. Being gay did not define me. It was a part of me, but I did the whole pride thing, and then the ones I went afterwards was an excuse to go and party and drink. Where nobody would question it. Friends of mine used to like going to Pride, so again, to go hang out with them, I would go. I have nothing against Pride. Nothing at all. What I liked to hear about was Stonewall and how that actually affected people, and the AIDS pandemic and how that affected people. I would go on these hookup sites and end up talking to these guys about their experiences in the 80s rather than like sex chat. And I felt for them. One of my past partners was HIV positive, and I was never scared to sleep with him. He always made sure that we were safe, and if anything was wrong, he would tell me right away. I ended it because I was too afraid to tell my family about this person that I was seeing. I was very young. I think I was 20 or 21. He was much older. I think at the time, 49, going on 50. Clutch the pearls. I know, I get it. I don't wish I was straight, because being gay has been eye-opening to a world I would have never known if I was straight, to people I would have never met, concepts and ideas and all of that, if I were straight. At least I think so. I would never know. But definitely, it's made me hate myself at times. I have wished I was straight in the past, just so that things would be easy. More so on family. I do think that sometimes family is embarrassed that, we have a gay son or we have a gay brother. I'm not saying that it's true, but I'm saying that's how I feel sometimes. It was very hush-hush for a while, until I guess word got around, and it's never spoken about, but my extended family has put into words that, we still love you and we accept you. But it's definitely been a heavy thing that's weighed on my mental health, in terms of wanting to kill myself, or that's the most extreme. I think at one point I even looked up conversion therapies. Just so I could be the son that I was supposed to be. I definitely know better now. I think differently every day about it. I'm not one of those to go and sleep around. Although I tried it because, hey, that was the thing to be, that was the thing to do, especially in between relationships. But I'm very much a relationship person. It's been a year and a half since I've slept with anybody. So at this point, I'm not giving that up just for a one-nighter. And there's other avenues, within sex, the different fetishes and kinks and all of that stuff. It's a big world, and I've explored quite a bit of it, with partners, without partners, drugs that go along with it. I've never put myself in a niche. I've tried to, but I never was able to fit the mold, or not completely fit the mold. You know, if I'm a bottom, then why aren't I a sub bottom? Because I'm not. Call me a bitch in bed and see what happens. Just saying. If you're a top, why aren't you a dom? Because I don't believe in degradation to somebody. I think that's disgusting. I can't look at somebody and call them an effing bitch and then have sexual relations with them. If that's people's gig, that's people's gig. No judgment. But that's just not me. But I feel like the judgment comes when that's not you. And I could keep going with this community. There's a reason why I don't have any gay friends. You know, I've always been betrayed by the community. And then for the slim few that haven't, and that I actually did form some sort of friendship relationship with, and it just fizzled for whatever reason. Nothing specific that happened. But it's been a journey for sure. And it's been hard for me to stop looking for a partner. But now it's probably the easiest thing. It's hard to get back into looking for a partner because now I've gone so long without one. I mean, a year and a half to some people is not a long time for somebody that went from relationship to relationship, one of which being almost 9 years. I'm very much used to being partnered and having that person. That's my story so far in terms of sexuality and how it's affected me and my mental health. I didn't touch on a certain topic because masking, because I have that as a whole different topic. But yes, masking has definitely come into play in terms of my relationships. I would conform to that person that they wanted, or I thought that they wanted. And that's how I would be with them. It's been a life, that's what I'll say, of not being me. And now that I am, it's hard to find somebody that will accept what this is. And I don't care. Accept it or not, it doesn't affect me none. I will move on, and so will they, with their narrow-minded opinions and beliefs. They're also the ones that will always be signal. Or if they're in a relationship, they'll be acting like they're single, because that's who they are. And I fully believe that's how my ex was. But yeah. So I think I'm gonna leave it there for tonight. Again, thank you for tuning in to see me and to listen to what I have to say about whatever topic came out tonight. And as always, my DMs are always open for those who need a person to talk to. Hashtag 988. You are not alone. And I look forward to connecting with anybody that wants to. So, much love, much light, and I will see you soon.